Hey everyone, my name is Siddharth and I'm an Android developer at DSC VIT. Welcome to the first session of Android Study Jams. DSC VIT is a student community in VIT Vellore. We comprise of developers, designers, managers, and marketers, and we collaborate to create such events and we like throughout the year. If you want to see more such webinars, keep an eye out on our social media, and we really have some very good events planned. Okay, so I can see a lot of people joining in right now, and we want the session to be really interactive. So if you're present in the chat, just send a hi or your favorite emoji. Could be anything. So, okay, I see some people joining in right now. Uh, okay, so see, we really want the session to be very interactive, so that's why we have kept some really good surprises in between. And I think it's time to introduce our facilitator for this program. So the facilitator for this program is Ritik Jain. He's an Android developer and he has made a bunch of really cool apps such as Athena, EasyGist, and the DevTalks app. So we also have Amog, Hisham, and Mayank in the chat ready to answer all of your doubts. So if you have any doubt, just put it in the chat box and Amog, Hisham, and Mayank will be there to help you out. So Ritik, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, Siddharth. I'm actually really excited to see so many people here.
So do you think we should start with the event now? Are people excited?
Yeah, let's get into it, I think.
Okay, then the stage is all yours, man. All the best.
Thanks a lot. So, while I start presenting my screen, type in the chat if you're excited to learn Android and Kotlin today. Let me see how many people are excited. Yeah. So, uh, looks like many people are excited. So let's begin. Welcome to Android Study Jams, and this is the session one. Now, what is Android Study Jams? Android Study Jams is a program by Google to form study groups and help us learn Android all together. And what will you get from this sessions and from this Android Study Jams? So you'll get opportunity to learn Kotlin, which is the preferred language for Android right now. Then you'll also get a certificate on completion of this course. Lastly, you'll get coursework provided by Google so that you can learn the most up-to-date stuff and make sure that you're learning the right things. So, what will be our learning objectives today? Today, we'll learn the basics of Kotlin programming language. Then, we'll create a new project from scratch in the Android Studio IDE. Later, we'll understand the Android Studio IDE in great depth so that you're never overwhelmed by it and you feel comfortable with it. And lastly, we'll be making our own birthday card app. Now, today's schedule. First, we'll start with Kotlin basics. Then we'll take a small 10 minutes break so that you can relax and again get in the mood to learn Android Studio. Here we'll explore Android Studio and we'll get your first app up and running. Then we'll again take a 10 minutes break in which we'll be helping you solve your doubts related to Android Studio. If your app isn't running or you face some errors while you were trying to run the app. So this break will be used for that. Next, we'll build the birthday card app in which you'll get your hands dirty with Android and be building layouts. And lastly, we'll also have a 20 minutes Q&A session. So I'll be present here and you can ask us any doubts you have like throughout this session or generally about Android. So uh, along with this session will be you'll have to do the course given by Google and it will be the Android Basics in Kotlin course. This course can be found at g.co. I'll just go to that link, g.co/Android. Can't spell today. Android/study jams. This link will be shared by a team in the comments, and a banner will be displayed to you. So after each session, you can go ahead to this link and then click on the new to programming track and start doing the activities present right here. Now, uh, we have 2 units in the beginner's track. So in this session, we'll be covering the first 3 pathways of the first unit. In that, you'll be learning basics of Kotlin, basics of Android Studio, and basics of building a layout in Android. Now, each unit has a pathway. And what is a pathway? A pathway consists of many activities such as articles, code along tutorials with the code labs, or videos by employees of Google, and so on. So, after each pathway, you'll have to take up a quiz. And once you pass that quiz, you'll be earning badges. Now, all these badges will be accumulated in your developer profile. This developer profile can be found on the StudyJam's online course page, and you can flaunt all your badges on your social media platforms later. Now, all the boring side aside, let's start with Kotlin. Today, we'll be covering introduction of Kotlin, variables, conditional statements, loops, functions, classes, and arrays. So I hope you're excited to learn Kotlin. I would just like to know how many of you have idea of any programming language or have worked with a programming language before, or how many of you have never ever touched a programming language before? Just let me know in the chats, so I know what the audience is comfortable with. Also, if you ever find me looking this side, I'm actually reading all your comments. So don't think I'm distracted. I'm just here reading all of your comments. So to make this session interactive, just keep asking me any doubts you have. And we have 3 amazing people in the chat who will be helping you out with any queries. And I'll also be going through all the comments so that I can help you out really quickly. Also note that there might be a little delay of like 30 seconds to 1 minute due to YouTube live stream. So I might see your questions a little later. Okay, so there are many people who have worked with C and Java. That's great. I see C++ too and Python. Nice, nice, nice. Lot of answers. Keep this energy up throughout the whole session, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot. Now, let's move on. So you might be wondering, how do we run the Kotlin code? Will we have to install the software, or can we run it anywhere else? So you can run it in your browser using Kotlin Playgrounds. Now, how you reach Kotlin Playground is that you can directly search Kotlin Playground in Google and click on the first link you get, and also do this along with me so that you'll reach the exact same page and you can code along with me. So this is going to be more like a code along session where I'll be coding and you have to code along with me for the maximum learnings. uh, so once all of you have reached this page, let me know in the chats again that yes, we are here, and then I can continue explaining. uh, Trisha is saying that I have a feeling this is going to be really tough. And no, this is not going to be tough at all. Just keep coding along with me, and I'll be explaining everything from basics. So do not worry at all. Okay, so now I'll just explain in brief what a Kotlin Playground is. Here, you can execute any piece of Kotlin code right from your browser. So right here, you see something written, some code of Kotlin written here. Do not worry about this. I'll explain it in detail. But to run any code in the playground, just click on the run button on the right hand side, and the output will be printed right below. So any code you write here, you can just click on the run button to execute it, and you can see the output. Since I'll be using an IDE, that is a software for writing code, I will not be using Playground, but you can write all your code right here along with me to execute and see it for yourself. So I'll switch over to my IDE right now. I'll just stop sharing the screen for a second. Let me share my IDE. Yep, you can see I'll be coding here, but you can write the exact same whatever code, the exact same code, whatever I'll be writing here in Kotlin Playground. So don't worry about that part. So now, in any language, what do we learn first? We learn how to write a basic hello world program, right? So let's go ahead and do this here too. I'll create a file to get started. Now, for any piece of code to be executed in Kotlin, you have to define a main function. The way you define a main function is by saying fun, using the keyword called fun, then followed by main, followed by opening and closing brackets, and then followed by curly braces to represent the body of the function. So any piece of code that you'll write in this function will be executed, right? Anything you write outside of it will not be executed. Now, are you ready to print your first line in Kotlin? Okay, someone is telling me to zoom in, please. Yeah, I'll just zoom in, and I hope it's visible now. So, yep, let's get ahead and print our first line. Now, you can use the keyword called print, followed by your brackets and your text what you want to print. So in this case, let's go ahead and print hello world. This basic statement will print the text inputted uh, in the quotes to your output. Let's run this and see. It just takes a bit of while in the. So yeah, here you can see we have hello world, and that is what we wanted to print. Now let's go ahead and print something else. Let's say hello there. Let's run this again and see. We get the output hello world and hello there. But do you see a problem right here? Yes. Here in the code, we have written print hello world and hello there on two different lines. But here in the output, we got both of them on a single line. Now, why did this happen? By default, the print statement in Kotlin does not leave a new line after it is done printing the text. So once it's done printing hello world, it is not going to leave a new line. So to achieve the behavior that we want, that is of printing a new line after we are done after we are done printing the text, we can use the statement called print ln. Let's go ahead and try this. Let's run this. Yep, there we go. Now we have hello world and hello there on two different lines, right? So next, let's move on to comments. What are comments? Comments in code are basically any piece of text that you want to be ignored by the compiler. So suppose you wanted to explain this code to your friend and wanted to write something in this code which didn't which shouldn't get executed. So let's go ahead and add our first comment. A comment in Kotlin is declared with two slashes. So anything you add after that will be treated as a comment. So let's say this is hello world code, right? So this is a comment in Kotlin. Now, what if we wanted to add multiple lines of comment? Can we just do something like this? Hmm. No, right? It's showing some error. Now, in Kotlin, using double slash is only for a single line comment and not for a multi-line comment. To add a multi-line comment in Kotlin, you have to do a slash followed by asterisk and followed by asterisk and a slash to close the multi-line comment. So here we can go and say something like first line, second line, and this is how we add a multi-line comment in Kotlin. I hope this is all clear to you. And now, so that this session is very interactive and I know that you're learning something, I'll give you a small task which you can solve and I'll wait for the answers in the chat. I'll give around 2 minutes for you to complete the task. And all these tasks will be really simple, but you might have to Google up certain things so that you can learn something more. So our first simple task for print will be print the following pattern using only one print statement. So you have to print this pattern, but you have to use only a single print statement. Now, let's see who gets it first and let's see how many people get it. And also, we'll be having some cool badges. So anyone who is answering really quickly and answering the most number of questions, will be giving them out some cool badges. So now I'll wait for 2 minutes and let's see who gets it. Fun fact, I'm also a beatboxer. So in these breaks, I can keep you entertained with my beatboxing. Yeah, so Suryakant Agrawal got the correct answer. And let's just wait 1 more minute for others to get it too. Let's wait 30 more seconds so that maximum number of people can try. Okay, someone went ahead and used a for loop. Good try. That was in C++ though. Okay, so now let's move on to our next topic, which will be on variables. I'll again go ahead and create a new file. So, what is a variable? A variable in programming, it's used to store any data which might be used later or which you might need to access later. In Kotlin, we have two types of variables. One is immutable variables and mutable variables. The names sound a little complicated, but I'll explain what they do. So immutable variables are the variables which cannot be changed and are treated as read-only variables. So without further ado, let's just start defining a simple immutable variable. We'll go ahead and create a main function again. And to create a variable and immutable variable, it's declared by using the statement val. Uh, is val followed by the name of the variable. Let's say name, and followed by colon, and we can give the data type. Let's say we want to give this data, this variable, a data type of string, and we equate it to a value. Here, let's say Ritik. So let's go ahead and print this variable, run this code. Yep. So we can see here that we have successfully printed our first variable. Now, what do you think will happen if we try to change this variable? Let's say name is equal to Neil. Uh, let's run this again. We got an error. It says val cannot be reassigned, and this is because it was an immutable variable. So for us to declare a variable which can change over time and which can be reassigned again, for that we have to use a mutable variable which is declared by using var instead of val. So let's just go ahead and change this to var, and the rest of the declaration remains the same. So now if we try to run this again, we get Neil, which is the variable, a variable value, which is after being changed. So initially it was set to Ritik, but since we changed it to Neil, it showed us Neil, which is the correct output. Okay, so now in Kotlin, there are multiple data types. So I'll just go over some common data types, such as, let's say, age that can be of type int, which is short for integer, and we can give it a value of something like 19, and something like weight, which can be of type double. And this data type double is used to store any decimals, right? So here, let's go ahead and say 54.2. That is not my weight though. I wish it was. Now, let's go ahead and declare one more variable. Uh, let's say is true, and let's give it the type boolean. So a boolean is a variable which allows you to store two values. One is true or false. So let's say true here. Now these were the common data types that you might come across in Kotlin. So are you ready for your next task from whatever you have learned till now? So I'll just give you your next task. Your next task is to create any two variables of your choice and print them both using a single print statement. Let's see who gets this. I'm constantly just checking your comments. I'll give you another minute. Yep. Sai Tarun Palukala got it correct. He did it the correct way. Yep, looks like people are answering. That's great, great. Nice. So I'll just go ahead and show the solution for this. Let's go ahead and define a main function. Uh, Now, let's define two variables. Let's say first name and equate it to Ritik, and last name, and let's equate that to Jane. So the way we print two variables, and the unique way in Kotlin is to say something like print and followed by dollar sign, the name of the variable, and dollar sign, the name of the second variable. So this looks confusing, doesn't it? What is this special dollar sign here? And let's just go ahead and run this, and then I'll explain it to you what this is doing. So it printed Ritik Jain. Now, how did this work? The dollar sign is a special character we use inside the quotation to represent variables. So this is known as string interpolation, and is a really great feature of Kotlin, because instead of printing something like in Java, where we would have had to do something like first name plus and last name, we can replace this by something like this, so that it makes it much more easier and convenient for us. So just to explain it again, whenever you use the dollar sign inside the quotation mark, it tells the compiler that you're using a variable instead of some text, right? So you can combine this with normal text too. So here I could go ahead and say is the best, and let's run this again. Now it says Ritik Jain is the best. So this is how we interpolated the string. Uh, okay, yeah. Someone asked in the comments, is it okay if we don't mention the data type? Yeah, this is one point I did not mention. We can absolutely skip the data type declaration, because Kotlin is smart enough to understand what data type it is going to be. So for example, here, we did not say that this variable is going to be a string. We just equated it to a string, and Kotlin knew that this was going to be a string and gave this variable the data type of string, right? So you can skip the data type declaration. Now let's move on to the next topic, which is going to, so now we're going to get into conditional statements, and we'll be starting with the if statement. So let me create another file. Let's define a main function. So to demonstrate if statements to you, let's assume a situation in which you have the variable called age, and you want to check if the age is over 18. Then you print out something on the screen like is allowed, or if it's less than 18, then we print out something on the screen like is not allowed. So how would we do that? To achieve this, we would use something known as the if statement. So let's go ahead, declare a variable called age and set it equal to 20. Now we can start by declaring if and saying if age is greater than 18, then we can print you are allowed. Else we can print you are not allowed, right? So again, how this will work is that it will check this condition. If the age, which is currently set to 20, is greater than 18, then it will print you are allowed. If this variable age was not greater than 18, it would have printed you're not allowed. Let's run this and see what output we get. We get the output you are allowed because the variable age was greater than 18. I hope if statements are clear to you. Now, time for your next task. This is related to if statements. So this task states declare two variables storing numbers. If both the numbers are positive, then display success, else display fail. So let me repeat it again. Declare two variables storing numbers. If both the numbers are positive, then display success, else display fail. Now again, you have 2 more minutes. So go ahead, attempt this and let me know your answers in the chat. I guess I'll drop something again. Yep, Sai Teja Reddy got it correct. That's really great. I'm actually very happy that all of you are trying along. And those who are not, I will again suggest you that you should do it along so that you get to learn a lot. And also so that I can solve your doubts if you have any while practicing the concept. Let's just wait another 30 seconds for everyone to answer. Okay, so now let's just go over the solution for this. Let's start by defining a main function again. Then let's define two variables. Let's call the first one num1 and equate it to 20. And let's say num2 and equate it to 19. Now let's put an if condition again and say if num1 greater than 0 and num2 greater than 0, we can print success, else we can print fail. Now just to go over this again, one new operator that you might see here is this and. This is basically saying that both the condition must be true in case for this if condition to be valid. So if num1 is greater than 0 and num2 is greater than 0, only then print success, else fail print. So this was the solution to the if task. Let's move on and cover the next topic. It is the when statement. Now, this is something interesting and is similar to the switch statement in other languages such as Java and C. So I have some code already ready to explain the when statement. I'll just go ahead and copy the code. Give me a second. Yep. So here's the code. I'll quickly go ahead and change something. 1 second. Give me a second. I'm just doing this to explain it to you better. Okay, so now what is a when statement? A when statement basically allows you to compare the value of the operator, value of a variable with multiple other cases. So what do I mean by this? I mean that if you have a variable and you can understand it basically as using many if statements. So instead of using many if statements, you can use something known as when to avoid repeating the syntax of if many times and comparing a single variable with multiple cases. So in Kotlin, we use the keyword when again. And so what is this code doing? This code is basically acting like a simple calculator. And depending on what operator we input, it will allow us to perform the operation. So suppose, so we can enter any of these operators such as plus, minus, multiplication, or division, and then it comes into the when statement, and the syntax is when followed by the variable we want to apply this statement on, basically the variable which we want to compare against all the options. Here in this case we'll say operator because this is what we want to compare. And what are we going to compare it with? So here we'll be comparing it with plus operator, minus, multiplication, and division. So what this is saying is that if operator is plus, then do a plus b. If operator is minus, then do a minus b. If operator is multiplication, do a multiplied by b, and so on. So if you have any doubt in this, I mean, just let me know in the chat. I know it can be little confusing, but again, um, so suppose in this case the operator is minus, it will come into this when condition, then check in these cases. So here it finds that the operator is minus, so it will go to this condition and do a minus b and store the result of a minus b into this variable called result. Understood? So so the result of this will be stored inside the variable called result, and in the end we are finally just printing the uh, result, right? You might have observed a weird data type here. It's called any, and you can sort of you might not have come across this in other languages, but you can understand this as something which is a general data type. So this can so the variable result can take any value. What I mean by this is, it in this case, it will be taking value of integers for these first four cases because we are performing operations on like two integers. Okay, it might even be double. So here it can take values of integer, double, or in the last case, when the operator does not match in any of these cases, we go to the else case, and then the result of this variable result will be operator is invalid, right? So it can store a string too. And this is what the any data type represents, that it can store any variable. Now let's run this and see. Okay, so we got the answer as 7, which is 12 minus 5, as our operator was minus. Just for another example, let's convert this operator to multiplication and run this again. We got the answer as 60, which is 12 into 5. So this was it about when statement. Now, are you ready to move on to loops? And loops are very interesting, and it's a core concept of any programming language. Let's move to loops. I'll create a file again quickly. Let's define a main function again. So what are loops? Loops in programming language allow us to execute a single piece of code multiple number of times until a given condition is met. So in Kotlin, we have two major types of loops. One is the for loop, and second is the while loop. So let's go ahead and declare a while loop first. So let's go ahead, say var I is equal to 1, and while I is less than or equal to 5, we are going to do print and I. Let me know in the chat what the output of this program will be. What do you think will happen? type in the chat. Let's see if people understand this concept properly. Yep. Yeah. It will be a infinite loop. That is because the condition of I less than or equal to 5 will never be met, as we are never incrementing the value of I. So it will go into infinite loop. Now, uh, what will we do if we want to achieve the behavior which we wanted, which is of printing from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? All we have to do now is just increment the value of I after each loop. So if you're not familiar with the I++ operator, I mean the plus plus operator, this is equivalent to writing something such as I is equal to I plus 1. So that is equivalent to writing that. And I++ will increment the value of I after each loop. So just to explain it again, we declared a variable I, set it to 1, and it's a var because we want this variable to change, right? We could not have said val, because then it would have thrown an error as it cannot be reassigned again. So here we say var I is equal to 1, and then we put a while condition and say while I is less than or equal to 5, we'll print out I, and then we increment the value of I by 1. Let's run this. Here we get the output which we wanted, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have learned your first while loop in Kotlin. I'll go ahead and comment this part out. Next, let's move on to for loops. Uh, so to declare a for loop in Kotlin, you go ahead and type the keyword for, and then I in 1 to 5. Now, I'll just complete this part and say I. So this looks very intuitive. What this is saying is for I in 1 to 5, print I. One cool thing about for loop is that you do not need to increment the variable on your own. It automatically does that for you. And for loops are very intuitive in Kotlin. So this will do the exact same thing as before. It will print from 1 to 5. And also take note that both 1 and 5 are inclusive in this. So here you go. We got the output as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what if we printed, if we wanted to print 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Will doing something like this work? Uh, Take a guess or try it out on your own in Kotlin Playground and see if this works and let me know. Let me wait for more answers. Yeah, someone is asking what IDE am I using? This is the IntelliJ IDEA IDE, and it's by JetBrains. You can head on to the website and download it. Yep. So that Samriddhi said that it's not working, and other people as well. So, yep, it is not going to work because in Kotlin, the dot dot operator only works on ascending values. That is from a lower value to a higher value. It does not work the other way around. So to achieve what we wanted, which is of 5 down to 1, we can use the keyword called down to. Now, as I said, loops in Kotlin are very intuitive, and this what this does is it says for I in 5 down to 1, print I. So this should achieve the behavior which we wanted, right? Let's run this again and see. There you go. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I can see in the chat someone asked, what if we want to increment 2 times in for loop? And that is exactly what I was going to come to right now. So what if you did not want to increment or decrement in the steps of 1? What if you wanted something other than 1? We can use the keyword called step and define the number of steps we want to iterate the loop in. So in this case, I'll go ahead and say 2. So it will iterate this loop 5 down to 1 in the steps of 2. Again, let me know what output do you think we'll get after running this loop. Let's see who gets it. Yep, we would get 531, and that is the correct answer. Let's run it and so that everyone can see. Yeah, so this is the output that we got, 531, and many of you guessed it right, and that is really great. I'm actually very happy to see so many of you interacting and answering the questions. So keep this energy up, guys, because coming up the Android part is going to be amazing, and I'm pretty sure that is what you came for. Now, let's move on to the next topic of functions. Also, uh, I just remembered something, a funny little thing. So, what will you call two programmers which are fighting with each other online? Cyberbullying. Now, let's go ahead to the next topic, which is going to be functions. Okay, so before discussing about functions, what are functions? Functions are basically related code which you might want to reuse it later, or you might want to use it to organize your code. Now, what is an example of functions that we have come across in each and every file till now? Which is that function? You can type that in the chat. Let's see, waiting. Yeah, we saw the main function in each and every file till now. Now, let's go ahead and define our main function again. So let's define our very own function. What this function will do is that it will accept two numbers and add those numbers and give us the output. So to define a function in Kotlin, we use the keyword fun followed by the name of the function. In this case, let's say add, and brackets and curly braces to represent the body of this function. And this is the most basic way you can declare a function in. Now, um, to add two numbers, we need access to two numbers, right? Where are we going to get that from? To get access to anything inside a function, we can use something called as arguments. So to create an argument, we give it a name called num1, define the data type of it, let's say int, and let's input the second argument, num2, and define the data type of that argument. Okay, so now we have access to both the numbers. Now, after calculating the sum of these two numbers, we need to return the answer, right? Otherwise, this function will be totally useless. To define what we are going to return from a function, we have to add a colon at the end of the function definition, followed by the data type which is going to return. In this case, it's going to be an integer, as sum of two integers will always be an integer. So now for the part where we return something from the function, we use the keyword return, followed by num1 plus num2. And this is because we wanted to calculate the sum of the numbers, right? So this function will take num1 and num2 as arguments and return the sum of both these numbers. Now let's go ahead and call this function. Since we are returning something from the function, we need to store the result in a variable. So let's just name this variable res, short for result, and call this function add. And let's specify what numbers we want to add. Let's say 5 and 4 and 4. Let's also print the result. Now run this program. Oh no, people didn't like my joke. Uh, okay, so we got the result as 9, which is the sum of 5 and 4. And that is what we wanted to achieve. So this function is working correctly. So now let's dive a little deeper into functions and talk about named arguments and default arguments. So what if you wanted, okay, to explain this better, let's take a case where there was this function which had 10 arguments and you wanted to make only two arguments only two arguments mandatory and others optional. So the optional arguments should take a default value, right? And to for a argument to take a default value, we can equate it to a value inside the arguments. So here we can say num1 equal to 10. So in this case, what we did is that even if the programmer doesn't passes us num1, we will assume that num1 is 10 and carry on with our function. So now let's say we only wanted to pass num2. We can use named arguments to say num2 equal to 5. And this way we have only passed in num2 and num1 will take its default value of 10. Let's run this and let's see what the output will be. So here we got 15, which is 10 plus 5. And this is how name and default argument work in Kotlin. Okay, so I hope functions are clear. And again, Kotlin in functions in Kotlin are fun. I hope you got this fun. Now, are you ready for your next task regarding functions? So your next task is create a function which will calculate 5% of any given number and return the answer. So go ahead and define this function on your own and paste it in the chat. I'll wait for the answers. I'll wait some more time. Yep, I see some answers. And yes, yeah, so many of you got it right. Just to show the solution of it for the people who did not get it, let's define a main function. And let's call the function which is asked in the task. Let's call it uh, 5. and it will accept a number, and this number can be a double. So let's say num and double, and we will return a double. And how will so what will return? We can return num multiplied by 0.05 to calculate the 5% of the number. Now let's store this result into a variable and call this function. Let's pass in 100. Let's run this. I mean, oh, sorry, we'll have to print out this. Now let's run this. We get 5, which is 5% of 100. So it is working. I hope this is clear to you again. And moving on to the next topic. This topic will be about classes, and classes are again a very essential part of any programming language. It's a part of object-oriented programming, and what a class is, that a class allows you to basically store similar data and create objects for it. So, for example, you wanted to create a class for a car. Now, car will have many common properties, right? Which is like having four wheels or having windshields, right? So all these are common to every car, but they will also have some different properties, such as the manufacturer of the car will be different, or the color of the car will be different, and so on. So classes help us to take care of all these things, such as having some piece of code which is common to all objects, and some pieces of code which you can set during the instantiation of an object. So to explain classes, I have some code ready. I'll just go ahead and copy it from there. One second. Okay. So in this example, we have a class of lamp. And to declare a class in Kotlin, we use the keyword called class, followed by the name of the class, and then enclose the body with the curly braces. So this is a class of lamp, and basically you can understand lamp as the normal physical lamp, what you might have seen in your real life. Uh, so it has a property which is also known as a data member, and a data member is any variable which is present inside a class. So there is a data member which is on, and this represents the state of the class. So I mean state of the lamp. So it tells us that is the lamp on or is it off. Now next we have a member function, and a member function is a function which is present inside of the class. So here we have three total member functions. The first one is turn on. What this is gonna do is that it is going to set the variable is on equal to true. That means it is going to turn on the lamp. Then the next function is going to turn off the lamp. That is, it's going to set the is on variable to false. The last function is a utility function to show us the state of the lamp. So depending on the variable is on, if the lamp is on, it will print that the lamp is on, and if it is off, it will print the lamp is off. Now, uh, how do we create objects of class? To create object of classes, we are going to store the object in a variable first, and then to create an object, we say the class name followed by brackets. So this is how we create an object. In this case, we are creating two objects, L1 and L2, and so these will represent two independent lamps, and changing any one of them will be totally independent and will not affect the state of the other. So here, after we have declared these, we call the function dot turn on L1 and turn off on L2. And then finally, we are saying display light status for both of them. So now, what do you think the output of this is going to be? Let me know in the chats again. Now let's see how many of you understood this properly, and I'll get to know that by the answers you give. Let's wait until people answer. Mm, okay. Till now, we don't have any answers. Let's just, I'll just run this so that you can see what the output of this is going to be. Okay, we do have an answer. Uh, Suryakant Agrawal says L1 is on and L2 is off. Let's see if that is the answer. Yep, you're absolutely right. The output is L1 lamp is on and L2 lamp is off. So this was all about classes. And now coming to the last topic of Kotlin, it's going to be arrays. Let's create a new file again. Okay, again, before proceeding further, let me know if you guys are enjoying this, or how do you feel about this? Are you learning Kotlin and are you coding along with me? Let me know in the chats. I'll just wait for your answers so that I know like how the audience is feeling, and are you comfortable, or do you have any doubts till now? Let's wait for this delay due to YouTube is pretty annoying. Okay. Now, okay, people are enjoying. They're saying it's awesome. I mean, these sort of comments, like I really feel great after looking at them. Okay, so let's continue. Uh, in Kotlin, arrays are they can be referred to as list, and that's the keyword you'll use in Kotlin. So you might have heard of arrays, and you might have also used them. So to declare an array in Kotlin or list is very simple. You use a variable. Let's say we want to declare a list of fruits. So we say fruits and equate it to list of, and this is a special statement in Kotlin. So this basically allows us to define a list. And here we can say list of uh, apple, peach, orange. So it was so easy to create a list in Kotlin. We just had to declare a variable and equate it to list of and all the elements which we wanted to be in this list. Also, Kotlin again understands that this is going to be a list of strings from looking at the value, and you do not have to explicitly declare it. Now, what if we wanted to print out the first element of this list? How would we do that? In Kotlin, we can use indexing similar to other languages, and we can say something like fruits and index of 0. Also in Kotlin, the index starts from 0. So here you can see that we'll be printing out the first element of fruits. Let's run this. So we got apple, and this is what we expected, right? Because it's the first element in the list. Now, what if we wanted to print the size of the list? For that, we use the property called dot size of the list. So this property will allow us to access the size of the list. So let's run this again and see the output. So we got the output as 3, which is the size of this list because there are 3 elements inside it. Now, what if we wanted to print every single element of this list? Would we do something like fruit 0, fruits 1, fruits 2, and so on? I mean, in this case, it can work, but suppose you had a list which had like more than 150 elements or something like that. You cannot manually print out every single element, right? So to do that, we use for loop. So let's just quickly define for fruit in fruits, we can print fruit. Now, again, this is very intuitive, so you can understand it as for fruit in the list of fruits, print the fruit. So this fruit will change after each iteration. So in the first iteration, this fruit is going to be apple, then it's going to be peach, then orange, and so on if there were more elements. So this will print out, I mean, this will iterate through the whole list. And since we are asking to print it out, it will print each of the element. Let's run it. So here you go. We got apple, peach, and orange, right? And this were all the elements in the list. Now, we are done with all the basics of Kotlin, and uh, this was it. I think like this was. I think we have covered all the basic topics of Kotlin, and now you can say that you know Kotlin properly. So to refresh, I mean to basically revise all the topics, we'll take up a small task and I'll explain it to you. 1 second, let me just grab the code for that. In this case, we'll be basically making a simple program which will display a birthday message. So, so I'll just run this 1 second. We get the output as this. This is what we want to achieve. We want a birthday message enclosed with some sort of special border. Then we want a birthday cake, and then a wish. I mean a greeting, which is customized to the age of the person. Now, here you can see that we have only used print statements to achieve this. But what if we wanted to make it generalized? So, for example, we wanted to wish someone other than Rover, or what if his age was 5? I mean, like something other than 5. Or what if we wanted to customize this cake? How would we do that? What concept that we have learned now will we use to achieve customization to this greeting? Let me know in the chats again. Uh, we won't be using loops for this. I mean, part of printing the code out might use loops, but I mean about the general concept. Uh, okay, people are saying variables and loops. There's one more concept involved, like which will help us in generalizing this code for any person with any name or any age. It is not arrays. We will use variables. That is a part of it, but there is a bigger thing which we'll use. Let's see. Let's see. We can use classes, but that is not required. Yes, finally, someone said functions, and yes, that is the correct answer. So we will convert this code with using functions. So like now I don't want to waste your time. So I already have this prepared, converted this code into functions. I'll just paste that again and explain it to you in detail. Okay, so there's a lot of code that I pasted here, but don't worry, I'll explain it in detail. Hmm. So first, we have declared several variables right here for age of the person we are wishing, the name of the person we are wishing, and the layers of the cake. So this is how many layers we want the cake to be, and this is the border which we want in the in the greeting. I mean, like the border covering the greeting, and this is how many times we want the border to repeat. So here, since the variable is 4, the border will repeat 4. To explain it to you better, I'll just again show you the output. Here, you could see that this is what I meant by the border and times to repeat. And the layers of the cake, here it's 4. So we'll print out 4 layers. Now, we have several different functions. One is to print the birthday wish, and this part takes care of printing this part of the birthday wish, which is the border along with the greetings. So what are we doing in this? That we are using an inbuilt Kotlin function known as repeat, right? So this repeat function is taking an input times to repeat. Where are we getting this times to repeat from? We are getting this from the argument. So here in this function, we have defined several arguments such as name, border, and times to repeat. So again, name will represent this name right here in the message. Border will represent what type of border we want. And times to repeat will represent how many times do we want to repeat this border for. So inside this, we use a function called repeat. It takes the argument of times to repeat, which we are getting from right here, and it will repeat the piece of code that we want to this many number of times, which is times to repeat number of times. So it will print out border times to repeat number of times, and then we give a new line and we print out happy birthday along with the name of the person, and then again we print the exact same border below the greetings. So only using this function we have achieved this part of the output, this whole part, right? Now the next function prints the cake candles. So I won't go into detail about what this is printing, but this is basically responsible for printing the candles of the cake, and it takes an argument called age, and that is because it will print the number of candles equal to the age of the person. So suppose the age was 18, it would print 18 candles, and you can go through this code later. We will provide you with the whole repository where all this code, what I've explained to you right now, will be present. So you can go through it later. But just to understand, this is going to be responsible for printing the cake candles. And next, we have a function which will print the cake bottom. This also takes arguments of age and layers. So it says how many layers we want the cake to be, and it will print the cake bottom. Again, not going into very detail about this function, but you can explore it on your own later. And we have a utility function called print cake, which basically calls both of these functions and combines them into one, so that we do not have to call them separately in our main function. We can just call this single function in our main, and it will get the job done. Lastly, to achieve this thing, you are already 5, and 5 is the very best stage to celebrate. Basically, we'll replace it with any age. So here we take the argument of age and we print out this message, and this takes care of printing out this entire part, which is the age greeting. Now we call all of these function while passing the correct arguments in the main function. So this completes the whole birthday wish for us, and let's run it and see. So here you can see that according to our variables, it printed a customized birthday message, and it printed out a huge cake as the age was 19, and it had to print a lot of candles, and it printed out a custom age greeting. So this was it about the birthday card program. Now, I think we're done with Kotlin, and I hope you guys learned a lot during this session of Kotlin basics. And we'll take a small 10 minutes break right now, so you guys can basically relax and again basically be refreshed for the next part, which is going to be of Android Studio Basics, and that is going to be really exciting, as I'm pretty sure that is one thing that you really wanted to learn, and that is why you came here for. So stay tuned for that. We'll be learning a lot, and I hope again you're very excited to learn Android Studio. So uh, okay, um, take a break and feel free to ask me any questions you want to meanwhile. So I'll be right here and answering your doubts if you had any in this session. Okay, so we hosted a Q&A challenge on our Instagram in the last 3 days. So do you want me to announce the winners? Are you excited to know who are the winners of all the 3 days? Actually, we got a lot of responses, and we were really surprised by all the people answering. And okay, so for the day one, the winner of day one is Rohan Devaki. The username underscore Rohan underscore Devaki underscore. Now, time for the second winner of day two. It is Manav Modi. Manav dot underscore dot Modi. And now, finally, the winner of the third day is Rajni underscore KK. You guys will be getting some cool badges, and you can flaunt them all over your social media. And congratulations, guys. You answered all these questions correctly. You can feel free to ask me any questions for those who have any questions. Okay, so for those of you who are there, I'll again just drop a small little freestyle. Uh, Arsh Ansari is asking, will inputting values be covered in different session, or it is for self exploration? So the thing is, in Kotlin Playground, the input does not work. So just maybe once you set up an IDE or you find a different online compiler, you can explore on your own and see how to take input from the user and try it out on your own. So I'll just go grab something for myself to drink or something, and I'll be back in just 2 minutes.
So is everyone enjoying till now? Like, are you having fun? Uh, okay, he's coming back in a minute. Then maybe he'll freestyle for us, Harsh. So how is everyone today? Did you like the Kotlin basics that we covered? Are you excited to learn more Android now? And this is going to last. Like we'll have a couple of sessions for this. So be very excited to learn a lot of Android now and begin your journey as Android developers. So I'm waiting for some. Yes, yes. Harsh loved the course a lot. Okay. And the beatbox breaks. We are going to get a lot of those now. Even Democratic Chocolate enjoyed the session. Nice. Okay. Ritik is going to be back very soon, and we'll start with the next section now. The Android development section that all of you are waiting for. But before that, we'll just cover a little bit of Android Studio basics because that's a lot to take in for some people, including me. I was very afraid to take like open up the Android Studio as well when I started it. Like it's a lot. That's why. So Ritik is going to cover that very slowly, and then we're gonna move ahead and cover Android development. So I see a lot of people are very excited up till now. Keep up the excitement, guys. Like we need that energy to last till the end of the session. Uh, okay. Ritik is back now. So, Ritik, the stage is all yours. Should we start with the next section? Or you're on mute?
Yeah. Uh, let's start, I guess.
Okay, then. Let's begin with the next section.
Okay. So just so that I know all of you guys are back, type in the chat excited for Android because this is going to be the fun part where we explore Android Studio. I just need to know if everyone is back because I do not want anyone to miss out on this. Amazing, amazing. See a lot of responses. Yes, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll be going very slow, explaining every single little detail in great depth. So I guess let's start now. I'll be sharing my screen. Yeah. So this part of the section, we go into Android Studio. What will we build today? So this app will be a final product which will be built today. It's a birthday card app. It will involve tinkering around with the UI of the app and seeing different properties of text and using different images in the app. So this is what we're going to finally build. Now, let's go ahead and start Android Studio. I'm assuming all of you must have downloaded Android Studio as it was a prerequisite. And in case you haven't, just watch this and maybe once you are all set up, you can continue with it. So, firing up Android Studio. Now, as soon as you start Android Studio, this is the screen you would be presented with. This isn't very interesting, but once we get into the IDE, it sure will be. Now, we have several different options right here. The first one is start a new Android Studio project, which will allow us to start a new project. Then second for me here is start a new Flutter project. This won't be there for you most probably because it is due to a plugin I'm using. Then we have open an existing Android Studio project. What this option allows us to do is to open an already existing Android project, which you might have worked on before on your device. The next option we have is get from version control. This option will allow us to enter a URL of a repository and to clone that exact repository onto our device and launch that app inside Android Studio. Uh, we have three more options, but those won't be of any concern to us right now. We can just ignore them because we won't be using them anytime soon. Next, we have this button called configure. So let's click on configure and see what all we have here. This part of the Android Studio allows us to customize all these settings. For now, we are concerned with the AVD manager. Let's go ahead and open AVD manager. Also, I would suggest all of you to do this along with me. So you can just keep asking me all the doubts you have while you're following the exact same steps as I am. Okay. Uh, Now, this is the screen which will allow you to manage all the virtual devices that you have. Now, to create a new virtual device, we can go ahead and click on create virtual device right here on the bottom left. Once you click on it, it asks us to select hardware. Now, what is this hardware? This hardware basically is the body of the emulator, or basically which phone do you want to simulate. This does not make a difference operating system wise, but it's just there for your convenience so that you can simulate the different screen sizes and so on. In this case, let's go ahead and select Pixel 3 and click on Next. Now, once you're done with that, it will ask you to choose a system image. Now, what is a system image? A system image is basically the operating system that is going to be installed on your Android emulator. You have different options right here, such as Android R, Android Q, Android Pie, Android Oreo, and so on. In our case, let's go ahead and select Android Q. You might or might not have it downloaded right here. So if you, in case you do not have it downloaded, click on the download button, which will be shown to you right here, and wait for it to download and then continue the process. So let's select Android Q and click on Next. Now this is the final screen of our setup, and it asks us what name do we want to give it to the AVD. We can leave it at the default, which is like the name of the hardware and the API level of the software. So in my case, I'll just leave it at default. You can change it if you want, not a problem. And all the other defaults look fine. We can just leave them as they are. And to finally finish setting up your AVD, you can click on the finish button. This will create your virtual device and will launch it. So since I already have a emulator ready, I will not click on finish to create a new one, but you can create click on finish to create your own emulator. I'll just click cancel out of this, and to run an emulator, you can just click on the green button right here, and this will launch the emulator. Okay, so this is what an emulator looks like when it's launched, and you can understand it as just a normal Android device which is available to you on your PC. Since I'll be testing out the apps on my physical device and sharing the screen here, I will not be using the emulator, and therefore I'll go ahead and close this. I'll close this too. So now that the emulator part is out of the way, we will go ahead and start creating our first new project. Let's click on Start a new Android Studio project. The first screen you're shown with is a screen where you select the project template. A template consists of the most basic amount of code to make your app runnable on a device. So there are multiple different project template categories such as phone and tablet, Wear OS, TV, automotive, and Android things. Since in this session we are concerned with building apps for the phone, we'll go ahead and come under the phone and tablet tab and choose the empty activity, which will provide you with a very minimum amount of code, and it will be a simple hello world app. So you'll see it later. Just select the empty activity template right here and click on next. Now it asks you to give a name to your application. So since we are making a birthday card app, let's just call the app birthday card. Okay. If you want to name it something else, you can. Next, we have the package name. What a package name is, it is a way to structure your project, and it is used by Java to structure your project. Also, one more thing about it, that it is used to identify your app on the Play Store too. So the convention of naming the package name is using your domain name followed by the name of the app. But in our case, even since we don't have a domain, we can just go ahead and name anything in this format. for example, like com dot your name dot the name of the app. So it doesn't matter for now. Go ahead and give it any package name in this structure. Then we have the save location, and this specifies where the Android Studio project is going to be saved on your device. Here you can go ahead and give any location which is convenient for you. And last, we have the language option. Okay, not the last. We have the language option, and by default it's set to Kotlin. And you have the option to use Java for the language, but in this session we are going to stick to Kotlin. And okay, so yeah, this is the last thing. Minimum SDK. Now, what is minimum SDK? So minimum SDK specifies what is the lowest version of the operating system that your app is going to run on. So for example, you set the minimum SDK to 6.0, which is Marshmallow and API level 23. So and your friend has a device which runs on Lollipop 5.0 and API level 21. So this means that he won't be able to run your app if he wanted to, because you set the minimum SDK as API level 23. So, but the other way around, it's fine. I mean, someone running Oreo can run minimum level SDK 23. So this is how it works. And you may ask, why not just choose minimum SDK as API level 15 and get done with it? The problem with that is that as Android started introducing more and more newer operating systems or new versions, they started introducing newer features. So certain features are only available in some of the higher or the newer Android operating systems. So, for example, in Marshmallow, you get access to fingerprint authentication, which wouldn't have been possible in an Android version before Marshmallow. So, if your app was to use fingerprint authentication, you would have to choose the minimum SDK as 6.0 Marshmallow API level 23. You can also just go through this whole uh, page to understand what all new features were introduced and choose the API level accordingly. In our case, today we'll just be going with API level 21, Android 5.0 Lollipop, as it consists of all the features that we need. Now, we can click on finish, and we would have configured our first Android Studio project successfully. Let's go ahead and click on finish. Now it does take quite a bit of time while running the, while configuring the project for the first time, but later on it should be fine. Also, the speed will depend on the hardware in your PC. So for some people, it might be faster or slower. Just be patient with this. One thing Android Studio will teach you is to be patient. I mean, it does take a lot of time sometimes. And yeah, okay. So now you can see that it is done loading and our project is ready. So you might be really overwhelmed by so many things going on at the same time. Like, what does this button do? Or why is there a weird bug icon right here? And why are there different ways to structure the project? But don't worry, I'll explain you like most of the things so that you won't feel overwhelmed and you'll feel comfortable in this IDE. So as soon as you launch the project, these two files are open by default. One is the activity main.xml and another main activity.kt. Now, uh, let's start from the left side of the IDE and explain. Let's start by the explanation there. So what does this do? This is how you navigate through your project. And this is the structure of your Android Studio project. Uh, it consists of this folder called app, and it has three more folders within it. So the first folder is manifest, and it contains the file called android manifest.xml. Now, what this is responsible for is that it communicates with the Android OS and lets it know that what all functionality do you require. This is in very layman's term. I mean, manifest does more than that, but in uh, in a very simple way, it just tells your operating system what all things your app will require. So, for example, your app needs access to a microphone of the phone. You would have to specify that in the Android manifest that my app needs access to the microphone, right? So in this session, we won't be touching the Android manifest. You can just go ahead and close that. Next, we have the Java folder. So let's open it up and see what is inside. Inside the Java folder, we have three more folders. The last two folders are related to testing, which is a much more advanced concept. We won't require it right now. We are only concerned with the first folder, which consists of a file called mainactivity.kt, which was opened by default. This file will take care of all the logic of our app, and this is the file which is in Kotlin. So this is what we learned Kotlin for. But today, we will not be writing any logic. We'll just be playing around with the UI of the app. So we can close this again. The last folder, which is the res folder, and it's short for resources. It has all the resources which your app will need slash use. Uh, so we'll be concerned with the layout folder. Let's open the layout folder and check out what's inside. The layout folder has activity main.xml. This is the file which is responsible for the design of your app. Now, now let's open this up, and this would have been opened by default, but if it wasn't there, now you know how to reach this file. So once this is open, you'll be presented with a very scary view. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, but again, it's very simple and don't be scared by it. So let's start the explanation from the left hand side of the IDE again. Uh, Here on the left hand side, we have something called as palette. Now, what a palette is that it contains all the views. Now, what are views? In Android, all the elements such as text, buttons, or input text, they are all a view. Okay, a view is basically anything what you see on the screen. And also one more thing, views just don't float around in the air. They are all related to each other, and the view which relates them all is known as a view group. A view group is basically used to arrange all the views together, and it's basically there for layout management purposes. Now, coming back to palette, it consists all the different views which are separated by categories. So here you can see many categories such as common, text, buttons, widgets, layouts, etc. Uh, in the common property, in the common category, we can find all the common views such as text view, button, image view, and so on. Now, let's move on to the next tab, which is the component tree, which is below the palette. Now, component tree is responsible for showing us all the views which are present on the design. So it will list every single view which is present in the UI slash design. Here you can see that this app currently has a constraint layout, which is a view group, and it has a text view, which is another view responsible for displaying the text. And this view you can see right here, it's the hello world view. And now let's move on to the design section. This design section is responsible for showing you the exact same thing which will be displayed when you run this app, right? Now, okay, without moving any further, if you don't believe me that this is responsible for showing whatever will be displayed on your phone, let's go ahead and run our app. Let's see if it will actually show this hello world screen. Are you excited to do that? I am. Let's go ahead and run our app and see if it displays hello world. And I would like you to do this along with me. So just go on, just go ahead and run this app. So to run this app, you can click on the green button, and I'll just demonstrate to you in a second. I'm connecting my device. Just give me a second, guys. Just a second. Yep. Here you can see that this is the uh, display of my phone, and it's just being mirrored here. So let's go ahead and click on the green button to run this app. Again, this does take a bit of time for the first time when it builds the app. So again, be patient and wait for it to complete. So there you go. Here we can see our first app. It is displaying hello world, which is the exact same design which we can see right here in the design editor, right? uh, okay, so now I think we'll give you another 7 to 8 minutes to come to this stage where your app is running. And if you're getting any errors, or if you have any doubts up to this point, let us know in the chats. We'll wait for you, because then you can continue with the next steps where we'll be designing our birthday card app. So yeah, let's just wait. Also, let me know in the chats what part have you reached till now. Like, have you successfully launched the app on your emulator slash physical device, or are you still not at that stage? Okay, Suryakant Agrawal asked why AppBar is not shown in Android Studio. The Android Studio does not, the design specially does not show the app bar. It just displays the, it just displays the activity. So, I mean, again, I confused you with the term activity. Now it's on my part to explain you what an activity is. Activity is anything which you basically, okay, understand an activity as a container for the design. So the activity is basically, this is the activity. So you can see right here that this is the activity and this is the design of the activity. I mean, the app bar is the part of the activity, but I mean, the design layout does not display the app bar. Okay, some people are finally able to run their apps. Let's wait for another. Uh, let's wait for another 3 minutes for everyone to run the app. And as soon as you are done with running the app, let me know in the chats saying done or something. Many people are done. How many of you are facing some issues or not able to run the app? Akshita is saying it is a blank screen. Do you not see anything on the screen? I mean, not even hello world. Siddhant is saying I have no target device. That is because either you do not have a emulator set up or you have not connected a physical device. So if you have an emulator setup, in this drop down right here, you should be able to see it in the list of available devices. What do you mean by a Google logo? Uh, okay, yeah, yeah, it must be the emulator starting up. Okay, till now only very few people have been able to run the first app. Uh, let's wait a little more. Let's just let's just try to sort out all the issues people are having. Okay, you can connect your phone and run your app on that. Our team will send you a link which will get you started with. It will basically be a guide to connecting your physical device with Android Studio to run your apps in that. Yeah, so Siddharth has sent shared the link with you. You can use that to set up your physical device. Yep, looks like slowly people are now able to run the app. Okay, should we move on? Is everyone ready? I mean, okay, let me know who all are still not completed with this part. Okay, now I think it's time to move on. Okay, yeah. So looks like most of you have gotten to a stage where your Hello World app is running. Um, so the next part. Okay, Arsh Ansari is saying my XML file is not opening. It's stuck at loading. Um, okay. Maybe try restarting your Android Studio to help with the help with solving this issue. Yeah. So Sai Tarun asked, "What's the theme you're using for Android Studio?" I'm using the material theme. So you can actually search for themes by going into File and where is it? Inside Settings, and you can find them inside Plugins. So right here you can just type material theme, and you'll get the material theme, right? Okay, now let's move on. I think most of you are set up. So I'll start by explaining. Uh, okay, so I'll start by explaining from where I left off. Um, the right hand side tab is the attributes tab, and this tab is used to basically change any attributes of the view. So it allows you to customize the selected view, right? It has all the different things such as common attributes, and then under all attributes you can see every single attribute of the view. Now okay, let's go ahead and change this hello world to a birthday wish. To, let's say you want to wish a specific person, let's go ahead and type something like happy birthday and the name of the person. So to change the text, what we do is that we select the view by clicking on it. Let's click on the view, and then go on the right side under attributes, find common attributes and find the property called text. Now once you edit this text, let's say happy birthday Sid, and hit enter, it will update in the design view instantaneously. So you can see as soon as you pressed enter in the text property of the view, it updated here in the design layout. So now you can see happy birthday Sid. Now, what do you think will happen if we run this app again and see? Will it still show the hello world, or would it have updated with a new text? Let's run it and see. And you should do it along with me too. Try changing this property, and now it shows happy birthday Sid instead of the hello world. So we have successfully changed and customized our first view. Now let's move on and since you can see in our in the final app that we are going to be making, we do not have any text in the center. We have the text on top left and bottom right. So we do not need this text actually. To get rid of the text, we can click on the view. Basically, to get rid of any view, we can click on the view and hit the delete button, and boom, it's gone. So to verify that it's not there anymore, you can check the component tree, and under constraint layout, there is no text view anymore. So now, what was this term that I just said? Constraint layout. As I mentioned before, it is a view group which is used to arrange the views in a form. It's basically a layout which is used to arrange elements slash views relatively to each other. Now, what does constraint layout do and how does it work? You can understand a constraint layout as each view will have a constraint. And what is a constraint? A constraint can be to any part of another view. So understand constraint as a spring. So suppose if I have a view in the center of the screen and I add a constraint to the top of the screen, it will basically act as a spring and pull the view to the top of the screen. But what if I add another constraint to the bottom of the screen? It will basically balance out and it will keep the the view centered. This is one intuitive way to understand what a constraint is. Okay, so now let's go ahead and uh, get started with showing the text view to display the greeting for the birthday wish. To do that, we can see under palette, under common, and we can find the text view. Let's click on the text view and drag and drop it onto the UI anywhere you like on the top left corner. Now, this we have successfully used our first view inside the design. To add constraints to it, and we need to add constraint to each and every view because there must be a horizontal and a vertical constraint to it, because you can see right here that the IDE is throwing a error and it says that this view is not constrained. It only has design time positions, so it will jump to 00 at runtime unless you add the constraints. Now, to understand it much more, let's just run this again. Let's run this app again. What do you think will happen? Will this view in the app stay at this exact same position, or will it change its position? So let me know in the chat. What do you think will happen? This view, will it stay where it is, or will it change its position? Yep, Sai Teja told that it moves to the left corner. And uh, to demonstrate, I'll just open my device again. Yeah. So yeah, it did move to the top left of the app. Now, why did this happen? This is because we do not have any constraint added to this view. And that is what the IDE is complaining about. To add constraint, we can click on the view. And since we want this view to be in the top left of the app, we need a constraint on the top and on the left so that it will stay in the top left of the app. To add a constraint, we select the view first, and then under attributes, we can look at the constraint widget. To add a constraint to the top of the parent, we can click on the add button on the top, and then we can click on the left add button to add a constraint on the left side of the parent. So we have added the constraints to the view, and now the errors are gone. But what are these weird numbers you see here, 44 and 45? These numbers represent the margin of the view from the constraint. So this is basically saying that we have 44 pixels of margin from the top of the parent and 45 pixels from the left of the parent. Margin is basically, in simple terms, it's the gap between 2 points, right? So here we have 44 pixel gap from the top and 45 pixels gap from the left. But to make the UI much more symmetrical, we'll change it to 16 pixel of margin on the top and 16 on the left. To change the margin under constraint widget again, you can see that here you have a place where you can input the margin value. So let's go ahead and change it to 16 right here in the constraint widget. So top, we have changed the top margin, we have changed to 16. And let's change the left margin to 16 again. Now you can see the app, the view is perfectly and symmetrically in the top left of the app. Let's run this app again and see what output we get. Yep, now it is looking very neat and symmetrically placed. So we have created our first constraints on the view. Now, to change the text, if you remember correctly from before, we have to click on the view, go under common properties, find the property called text, and we can change that. So let's say happy birthday Sid and press enter. This changes the text for us. Now let's look at our UI again. In the UI, you can see that the text is much bigger and it's of the color black. But in our app, it is very small and it looks a little bit grayish. So how do we change these? To change the text size and color, we can again select the view first. Then under all attributes, again note under all attributes, we scroll down until we find the property called text size. I'll repeat again, text size. We'll keep scrolling down until we find text size. Here, let's change the text size to 26 SP and hit enter. This will make the text much bigger and appropriate size to our UI. Now, SP is a unit of measurement which is used to represent the font size in Android. And in simple terms, this is used to relatively size the font on different screen sizes and screen densities. So let's go ahead and give it text size of 26 SP. Now, the size is correct. There is only one problem remaining, which is this is still gray and not black. So to change the color, select the property again, the view again, and scroll down to the property called text color. Once you reach the property called text color, you'll see uh, like a square which is representing something as black/grayish color. Click on that and that will pop up a color chooser for you. From here, you can choose any color you want. So I'll go ahead and choose black. If you want to design your app uniquely, you can choose any other color. Once you have chosen black, just come out of this color chooser. And here you can see in our design that we have changed the text size and the text color of our first text view. Isn't this exciting? Now let's run this app and see if it made the changes in our app. So here you can see happy birthday Sid in black and in a much bigger font size. Now we have added one text view. According to our UI, we had two text views. one for greeting the person, and second for stating whom the card is from. So we need one more text view. Let's go ahead and add another text view. This I'll give it to you as an exercise. So you can add, so you have to add a text view in the bottom right and make the same changes as what we did to this text view and display from whom the card is, right? So I'll give you 5 minutes uh, and achieve this behavior, run the app and see if it works and let me know in the chat. I'll be really happy if you guys can pull this because that means you would have learned how to customize your views. So I'll just drop a last freestyle for the day. Yeah. So that was it for the day, like the beatboxing part. Let's give you 2 to 3 minutes more. Once you're done with the part, let me know in the chat so that I know you're following along and you have understood till here. Okay, in the meanwhile, only those who are interested uh, can see the XML code. I'll show it to you, but I will not explain it right now because I'm pretty sure that will overwhelm you. For today, we'll just stay in this design layout so that you can get accustomed to this IDE and understand how to change the UI with drag and drop and using the attributes tab. But once I'll just show you the XML code. Don't get scared. I mean, right now it's very simple. So this is the XML code. And what the XML code, I mean, whatever you see on the screen, it is due to this XML code that you see the design on the screen. So you can understand the XML code as the programming language the for designing the UI, right? Uh, so here you can see certain words like text view, and this is why we have the text view on the screen. And here you can see different properties of it, like text, the text color we chose, the text size we chose, and the constraints. So don't worry, this is very optional. I mean, at least for now. For now, just get now just get what do you say? Now just get used to the design view so that later this won't seem overwhelming to you. Okay, Satyam is asking, do we have to learn XML coding also? Yes, you will need to. I mean, if once you want to make complex designs, you will need XML coding. And for now, for just getting started, I think the design view should be good enough. And don't worry, in the next session, we are going to get our hands dirty with XML2. So yeah, Sai Teja says he's done. That's great. That's great. Looks like Satyam Jha is also done. I added both the text. That is amazing. Chirag is also done. Nice, nice, nice. Suryakant is also done. Great. Okay, I'll just wait one last minute and then I'll show the solution to the task. Oh yeah, as Siddharth said, share your app on your social media, and if you do, be sure to tag us at DSC VIT Veller so that we can see what you're up to, and maybe give you shout outs or something. Uh, okay, and Sai Teja is asking how long did it take you to do the DevTalks app? DevTalks app was made with Flutter, and that took me about uh, 3 to 4 days to finish. Yeah, and it's amazing to see all of you trying and getting the correct, the correct design and output. Also, make sure to use the hashtag Android Study Jams if you decide to post something on social media, so that the Google team can also check out your work. Should we move on? I guess. I mean, most of you looks like you guys are getting it done. Uh, okay, so now I'll just show you the way to add another text view to bottom right. And most of you have already done it on your own, and that is amazing. So again, we drag the text view to anywhere near the bottom right, add a constraint uh, to the bottom of the parent, and add a constraint to the right of the parent. We change the margin to 16 and 16 on the bottom too. That correctly places the text view on the screen. Now we go ahead and change the text. Since I'm making this card, I will say from Ritik. This changed the text for us and it is in the correct position. Now let's go ahead and change the color of this text. So for that, under all attributes, we go to uh, text color right here. Click on the box and choose the color you want. So in this case, I choose black, and we can go ahead and increase the text size too. So change the text size to 26 sp again. Yep, and it looks like we are done with the text part of this app. Now let's try running this again. Installing. Come on. Yep. And we see that top left text says happy birthday Sid and bottom right text says from Ritik. And now you can see that we have completed the text part of the UI and only one thing is remaining, which is adding the image to our app, right? And then we'll be done with this app. Isn't that exciting? Now, okay, one more question for you. Which view will you use to add an image on the screen? Type your answers in the chat. Yeah, Sai Tarun said image view. That is correct. Yeah, a lot of other people also said Satyam Jha, Chirag. Yep, we'll use the image view. So, yeah, Akshita also got it correct. Now, uh, to use the image view, we'll need an image first, right? Our team will paste the link from where you can find the exact same image, which is there in the design or UI, and you can download that image from there, and then we'll proceed further. Just go ahead and download that image and type done in the chat once you're done. Also, let me know for those who are working with Android Studio for the first time, how does it feel? I mean, for me, it sure did like freak me out for the first time. And to be very honest, like the first time when I opened it, I just closed it because it was that scary. But I mean, how do you feel? Is it sort of comfortable now, or does it still freak you out? Yeah, it will. Yeah, I mean, it is complex, but as like you start using this more and more, I mean, you sort of get accustomed to it, and it starts feeling very natural. I mean, it will. Okay, for the slow part, I can't comment. I mean, it will always be slow. And it's actually not slow. It, I mean, if you use an SSD, it should be much more faster. But yeah, for the people using a normal hard disk, it might be a little slow. Okay, Suryakant says because of you, it's not freaking us. And thanks a lot. I'm really grateful to be sharing my knowledge. And it's it's a really good feeling like all of you are learning Android and that's great. I mean, once you again start exploring on your own, you'll start seeing the potential of making Android apps because it's one thing like to learn and second to actually make your own app. So once you get a little more comfortable with it, I'll suggest you to pick up a very basic app and start making it. The feeling will be extremely different, and you'll actually feel so good after making your first app. Okay, Gurnemat asked if there are any alternative IDEs. I mean, you can you can use other IDEs for editing your Kotlin code or Java code, but all these features such as design view and this interactive UI view, you won't find it anywhere else, and this is only in Android Studio. And also there are many more features. If you would have heard about Jetpack Compose, uh, that you can only use the previews with Android Studio, and those won't run anywhere else. And there are many more cool things. As you get more deep into Android, you'll start uh, realizing that there are many more things, such as you can preview your complex animations in Android Studio. It's actually a really powerful tool, and the debugging tools are also amazing in Android. Okay, I hope all of you have downloaded the image. Now, once you have downloaded the image, go to the place where it's downloaded. For me, I have it right here. Uh, Copy that image. I've copied the image. Now, under RES, short for resources, look at the folder called drawable. Select the folder called drawable, and then right click on the folder and click on paste. Just click on OK. And since we can keep the default name of the image, we'll just click on OK. If you want to change the name of the image, that's fine, but I'll keep it at default, so I'll just click on OK. Now we have imported our image into Android Studio. Importing was fine, but how do we use it? I mean, it's there in a project, but it's still not visible on the screen. To make it visible on the screen, you go ahead and drag the image view from the palette uh, and place it anywhere near the center, or anywhere actually. Just drop it on the design. As soon as you drop it, you'll get this new screen which asks you to pick a resource. So you'd see that the image that we just copied into Android Studio is present right here, and it's called Android Party. So we can go ahead, click on this image and hit OK. And there you go. We have the image inside Android Studio, but it's not placed right, is it? It's somewhere near the bottom right. We want it to be in the center. To do that, let's go ahead and just drag it and place it anywhere in the center. And then we can go ahead and add constraints. So if we want this image to be exactly in the center, what all constraints will we need? Will we need left, top, bottom, right, or combinations of them? Which all will we need? Let me know in the chats. Let's see who gets this. Satyam said top and bottom. Siddhant also said top bottom. Okay, Sai Tarun has the correct answer, which is all four sides, and that is because, as I mentioned, in the design, you need to have at least one vertical constraint and one horizontal constraint. So you cannot skip out on horizontal component or the vertical component. In this case, since we want it to be centered, we'll be adding constraint on all four sides. So let's go ahead and do that. Under constraint widget, let's select the plus on all. And now we have successfully added constraint on all the sides. So this is almost done. One thing that we can see is different from the UI is that here it is full screen. I mean, the image is fitted to the whole screen, whereas in this design, it is not. Now, how do we achieve the behavior which we want? We select the image view again, and we scroll, we go to the common attributes and look at the property called as scale type. So once we find that property, we click on the drop down, and there are many properties, and scale type is basically the way to scale your image. So there are many ways to scale your image, such as center crop, which will basically fit your image to the maximum size possible. We'll go ahead and choose center crop from this scale type. And there you have it. We have the image completely covering the whole display. Now, there is a small problem. What is it? That our text views are not visible anymore. They are there because we can see them in the component tree, that they are there. We have our text views, but they're not visible. And that is because our image is actually covering both the text views. It's on top of these text views. So to avoid this problem, all we have to do is go to the component tree, drag the image view from the bottom and place it on the top. Now we have told the design to make it in such a way that image view will be at the bottom and then the text views will be placed on top of it. And this is what we did by dragging the image view from the bottom to the top, right? Now, I think we are done with our very first app, and let's run it to see it in action. There you have it, our very own custom birthday card app, right? I hope you learned a lot and you had fun making your first app. I mean, I'm pretty sure it must feel very good. And still, there are like a lot of things you can explore on your own. So, for example, like I can give you certain tasks like change the image or use multiple images in the single app, in this same app, use multiple images, and what else? Maybe change text colors, maybe find out how to make text italics or how to make it bold, and there can be many other things you can customize. Just try playing around with the design more and getting more comfortable with this view, right? So from my side, this was it about making Android apps. And I'll actually wait for you until you have executed this app on your device. Let me know when you're done. And how did you feel making your first Android app?
Thanks for that amazing session, Ritik. And I hope people can now go over to that link that we're sharing in the ticker, and they're able to start their journey as an Android developer and complete the pathways that are provided by Google.
Yes.
Anyone has any doubts till now, just tell us in the comments. We're here to listen to you.
And just one more thing, make sure to complete the unit on this, like the link which we are sharing below, so that you earn the badges and you get the certificate at the end after completing the whole unit.
Yeah, and Ritik, can you tell us what we have prepared for the next session now?
Yes, sure. I'll just share my screen again. Yeah. So in the next session, we'll be building a dice roller app, which you can use to basically simulate a real dice, which will show you different images of the dice, depending on like basically it'll show random images when you click the roll button. So it will simulate a real dice. In this, we'll interact with Kotlin code for the first time to define the logic on how to generate random numbers. And then the next app that we'll be building is to calculate tip amount This will involve many concepts such as using a text input and different views such as radio buttons or switch views and buttons in general, right? This will be pretty interesting and this will be a full-fledged app, right?
And if you have any doubts throughout the program and maybe afterwards, you can go to this link and join a Telegram group. We have a Telegram group for Android study jams, and we'll be answering all the doubts over there too. So, like, if you plan to go the extra mile and learn something on your own, you can always message us on that group, and we'll be there to answer all your doubts.
And I think right now we'll take a small Q&A session.
Okay,
So
Sai Tarun has a question over here. Why suddenly moving to Kotlin? Ritik, would you want to answer this?
yeah, so okay, so yeah, you might have heard that Google has now officially announced that Kotlin is the first language and not Java anymore. That is because Kotlin came with many advantages, such as more readability for the language, and there's something known as null safety, which you might have heard that Java apps used to crash a lot of time because of a null error, and Kotlin came to solve all these issues, and it actually uh, basically all the developers loved it a lot, and it's a very great language. I mean, Siddharth, what are your opinions on it?
I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, even Google is moving like to Kotlin first now, and with Kotlin multi-platform, you can have the same business logic while having UIs for different target platforms. And we also have Jetpack Compose coming, which will reduce the need for having different activities. So it's declarative UI. It's very good. I'm really excited for the future of Android now.
And Jetpack Compose was made possible only because of Kotlin.
Yeah. Oh, it can run on the web also.
Yeah.
करना क्या कर रही है हट यहाँ से
Any more doubts? We'd
Okay,
really
sorry
love to
for that
answer.
small interruption, guys. Yeah, even Sai Tarun has heard of Jetpack Compose. Can you tell us more about Jetpack Compose? Suryakant is asking. So, Ritik, do you want to go ahead?
I think you can explain this much better as it's related to Flutter and maybe.
Yeah, so the thing with Jetpack Compose is like Google also released their new UI framework called Flutter. It was released around 2 years, 3 years ago, if I'm not wrong. And Flutter, like it had declarative UI. So you have to write UI as code over there. And your business logic and your UI is written in one single code, Dart. So they went ahead and did the same for Kotlin also for native Android apps as well. So they already had their rendering engine called Skia, which was used to make this material UI possible. So they made it for Kotlin as well, where they like have the same have the business logic and the UI in Kotlin itself. So there's no need for writing XML files for all your UI. So this in the near possible future, this might become redundant, like writing XML files that we learned just right now. So everything is changing. Like it's really exciting to see the new changes that are coming.
You can ask any sort of general questions. I mean, related to Android. That's totally fine.
Also, you can join the Telegram group by going to our like the ticker is over there. You can head over to our Telegram group for Android study jams. Yeah. Also, obviously, you need to complete those quests to earn the badges. The coursework is provided by Google, and we are just here to help you out, like in your journey as an Android developer. Yes, Flutter is damn awesome, but Jetpack Compose will be better definitely because of the native speed that we get. You can't beat that speed with Flutter. Right now, Flutter is pretty good because you can develop apps really quickly. But as soon as Jetpack Compose is out of alpha or beta, whatever they do, you'll be uh, pretty surprised on how fast native apps become.
I think we'll take questions for 5 more minutes. And
Yeah, size of Flutter apps are more than the size of native apps because they have the entire Flutter engine over there to like run all of the Flutter code that you might like write in the Dart language. Also, they do a lot of tree shaking, but still it takes up a lot of like memory. Is Compose cross-platform like Flutter? I I'm not sure of the cross-platform abilities, but they are able to run it for the web too. I think it will be possible.
right now, I don't think so. It's cross-platform. Uh, it is meant for native Android, but yeah, maybe soon it can come for web. I think we have no more questions coming up. Uh, if you have any, even if you have any after this event, feel free to let us know on the group, which is meant for Android Study Jams. So with this, I think we officially conclude the first session of Android Study Jams. I hope you learned a lot and now you feel confident building simple Android apps. Make sure to join us in the second session to learn much more and to get into Kotlin with writing the logic for your Android apps. Thanks a lot for this session, and you have been an amazing crowd. Yeah, and thank you. Um, No, right now we haven't decided the uh, next session date. We'll let you know soon on all our social media platforms and also on our Telegram group. So cool. I guess bye bye and keep learning more about Android on your own. Keep exploring.